Hello everybody, welcome to another Arty Mouse film. This week we're going to talk about drawing birds. We're particularly going to talk about how to construct them, how to put the composition together, and then how to use coloured pencils. So we start with the idea of deconstructing in order to construct something. Never try and draw something straight off the bat perfect. Always think about the basic shapes first of all. So with this bird here, you can see that he basically fits inside a triangle. So draw yourself that triangle and then some oval shapes to represent the body and to represent the head. And you will have given yourself a construction map, if you like, some scaffolding to draw your bird with, because you can then stay within those constraints to draw other details. So start with a B pencil and work in those basic shapes that you can see, the triangles, the circles, the squares within that image. Then carry on with a different pencil, say move to a 2B or a 4B to differentiate between the tones that you've used already, and start drawing over your construction shapes with more details, putting in the feathers, the shapes, the beak, differentiating between the different colours within the bird. So you're using what you've already done like scaffolding for the second layer. The second bird we've got here is slightly more complicated in terms of its shapes. So again, start with triangles for the back of the bird and its tail. There's some strange shaped triangles here, like offset. But that gives you a good starting point. Again, I talked about scaffolding. What you're doing with these triangles is building the scaffolding to build the bird with. Measure out where the curve of the body is based on those two triangles. And then for the top piece, the head, work out where the highest point on the bird's head is and draw a line downwards from it so that you can see on your map, on your own drawing, where that top point should be. And then you can put in your triangles for the head based on that information that you've already given yourself. The way to put a construction together is just to see where things intersect with each other and start building things up based on what you've already got in order to create your map. Again, then go in with a 2B or a 4B, a darker pencil to put in your more detailed drawing of where the feathers sitting, where the colours change, using that scaffolding to block things out. So again, see where things intersect, see where things are in relation to other parts of the drawing to work out where things go. So for example, the eye, draw a line down from the eye to see where it lands. And then you can use that point on your drawing. Always use your reference drawing all of the time. Make sure your eyes are flicking back and forth between your source material and your drawing all the time to make sure that you get this right. You need to get your drawing right to start with, because if you get it wrong in the first place, then everything else about the drawing is going to be wrong. So use your construction to give yourself a good starting point before you start using colour. So now we're going to look at using coloured pencils and solvents to make this little bird a bit more 3D. Always buy the best coloured pencils that you can find, because better pencils have more pigment in them, and that makes for a brighter, more vibrant drawing in the first place. I'm using Faber-Castells here. I'm also going to use some solvent for blending in. I use the Zest It pencil blend. but we'll talk more about that later. So go back to your reference photo and look at your colours. Start with lighter colours. So I started my drawing here with the yellows, moving in and blending in the oranges and the reds. I always build from lighter to darker when I'm using coloured pencils first of all for this layer. Think about the direction in which your marks are as well, because you need to follow the line where the feathers are going. So again, keep using your reference photo and seeing the directions of line, because this will create a more realistic drawing. Don't worry about detail on this first layer particularly, other than going in the right direction with your pencils, because the solvent is then going to blend this together into a less grainy form, and then we will work on top of that. So now I've moved over to the blues in the drawing. Again, starting with the lighter blue and blending until I get a darker blue. So I'm building the colours up, following the lines of the feathers, keeping using my reference photo. I'm not worrying about detail too much at this point, but still working in the right colours for more of a bottom layer. Then I start moving in with the greens and the blues in the tail. Again, working from lighter to darker in those greens, and then going back to the lighter blues following with the darker blues. So a little word on solvents before we start. Some people decide to use sort of homemade methods, which is absolutely fine. Acetone can work, but please don't use oils, because it will just spread if you take sort of vegetable oil or baby oil or something to blend them in. It will just spread through the paper and make nasty marks. So you are better off going with the proper stuff, whatever you can afford. They're all very much the same. I've tried all sorts of different ones, and as I say, at the moment I use the Zest-It one, but any one is as good as any other. With this first layer of drawing, I have used as much pigment from the pencils as I can, because it becomes easier to blend if you have a thick layer of pencil with more pigment in it, because you've got more to move around, and it becomes quite smooth and quite painterly, which you can then build on. It takes away the graininess of the pencil and turns it into a more painterly effect. You can then work over this layer with more layers of pencil and get more detail on your second layer. You can work in with solvent on a few different layers, but if you use less solvent for each layer as you go along, you will be better, because then you won't disturb the layers underneath. So once your solvent layer has dried, you can then go in with your coloured pencils again and work in the next layer of detail. So again, as I said before, work in the direction that the feathers are going. Use your reference drawing quite a lot at this point to get the details right, get the highlights, get the lowlights right. Don't rush this bit. You've got to keep your pencils sharp for the nice little details, and just build up and build up until you've got something you're happy with. Use small lines for the smaller feathers, use longer lines for larger feathers. But as I say, keep your pencil sharp to get a nice precise mark with this top layer. I don't generally use black at all in a picture, because I think it kind of deadens a picture. So work with dark browns if you can, and dark blues rather than the black to create your lowlights. So thank you very much for watching and listening to me today. I hope that's helped you with your drawing of birds, with your construction methods, with your use of coloured pencils. If you want more videos, go back to the main channel page. There are lots of things there for you to look at and learn about. If you want to contact me further, I'm also on Instagram at ArtyMouse76. There is an interactive Facebook group called ArtyMouse Art Tutorials. Put your work in there, get some critiques, get some ideas from other people, and we have a monthly art theme there as well that you can join in with. You can also get a tutorial with me to talk about your own work. All you need to do is join the mailing list below. If you do so, you're also going to get a free little gift from me, and I send out weekly newsletters with art tips for you. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you very much.